Well, hello. Today I am super excited to have Elise Arsenault. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Like that's really close to like arsenal. Do you ever use that in your
That does come up from time to time, and there's like
Yeah.
two ways to pronounce my last name. It can be Arsenault or Arsenault. And one side of my family is Arsenault, like my parents like are that way, and then my uncle and my California side is Arsenault. So honestly, it's fine either
I
way.
mean,
But yeah,
it,
Arsenal, my bag of tricks, my
yeah,
arsenal.
my actor's arsenal. I mean, you could
Yeah,
do all kinds of fun things with that.
yeah, for sure. Thanks for that idea.
Well, for those who don't know you, you're an award-winning actor, you're a narrator, you're a coach, you've done a lot of voiceover work. As I understand it, over 175 voiceover projects.
Yes.
And I love this kind of mantra or quote that you run your business by, which is you help actors live where they want and work when they want. And those are just two
Mm.
things that I think actors are just
Don't we want that?
desperate, yeah,
Yes.
desperate to do. Um, but before we go into actually what you do and how you can help actors, I would love for them, like those watching, just to kind of get to know you.
Sure.
So I like to ask the question, like, what's your favorite food? We want to know.
Yay. Oh my gosh. My favorite food is popcorn, actually.
Oh,
Popcorn's like my favorite snack. And lately I've been
yeah.
having issues like with popcorn, which is like, I'm like, oh no, this cannot be done for the rest of my life. This is like, I actually in college had a friend, a roommate, and who we were all in acting together, play a character, and they were doing an impression of me, and their impression of me just had this bag of
Popcorn.
popcorn. They were just like eating it the whole time. So popcorn's my favorite food.
Oh, that's great. Are we specific about what type? Like, is it like movie theater popcorn only or microwave popcorn, or you make it over the
I
stove?
That's a good question. I've learned a lot over the years. I'm actually like game for anything. I like the flavored ones and stuff, but usually it's just basic, either like skinny pop, like microwave popcorn or like over the stove.
Okay.
That's really good.
Yes.
Or growing up, we just had like an air popper, and our after school snack would be like
Yeah.
popcorn
Yeah.
with a little bit of butter and then orange juice with it.
Oh, orange juice and popcorn.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just don't tell me that you dip the popcorn in
No,
orange.
definitely didn't do that.
Okay.
That sounds really gross, but I don't know why. That was a really good combination.
Well, I just have to give you my popcorn tip because
Please.
I do make great over the stove popcorn. So I will use coconut oil
Ooh.
and pop it. And then I have two like specialty flavors. So the one is I'll use garlic powder and salt for
Mm-hmm.
like a
Oh, that
savory,
sounds great.
or cinnamon, and then we'll sprinkle, I don't know if you've ever used stevia in like the actual
No.
powdered form. So
Uh-huh.
it's a natural sweetener, but for like kind of a sweet sort of tiny bit of salt, but sort of like a sweet take on popcorn. So
That
you'll have
sounds
to try
great.
it.
I need to try this, and I will tag you when I do. Thank you,
Yeah.
Shelley. That's
Yep. Yep.
awesome.
Perfect. Perfect. So tell me a little bit about your acting background, how you started, how you ended up where you are.
Yeah, for sure. I've been acting my whole life. And I would say my professional career began probably at the age of 20. So I was in college at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. So I came up through the DC area. I grew up in Rhode Island, but my education in theater began there. So I created a degree for myself at George Mason University, which was like an interdisciplinary degree in musical theater, because they didn't have a musical theater program. And I started in music ed. It's a whole long story, but at the end of the day, I got the training that I wanted. And right after school, I got into work. My first job out of college was with Missoula Children's Theater, which was
Mhm.
a theater that took me to like probably more than 30 states in 15 months.
Wow.
And we performed with and directed kids in each town that we stopped at along the way. So it was a pretty impactful journey that kind of, in a nutshell, is kind of a glimpse at what my career would be today, which is I act as much as I coach, and I like that. Um, and then from there, that national tour took me, I went back to DC, did a lot of regional theater there, moved to New York City, The recession was happening, so I did not last there very long. So I moved back to Rhode Island, thought I was going to go to grad school, ended up not going that route, but ended up just kind of blooming in the regional theater scene in New England for a while.
Mhm.
Then I found audiobook narration a few years into that, and then adding audiobook narration to my acting career was probably the biggest game changer in my life because I was able to make a mid five figure income of consistent work through audiobooks. And that had me being able to work from anywhere. So I was going into studios for a time and then it became home studio over the pandemic. That's
Yeah.
keeping me going. And then kind of sprinkled in throughout the years, I've done on camera work from time to time, some films, some TV. And yeah, there's all sorts of little stories and other side jobs I've had that are related to acting along the way.
So, do you have a preference as to which you prefer to use your talents for?
I think it changes. I used to be such a theater snob and say, when my husband met me, actually, he met me in like 2011, and he said, at the time, you were just theater all the way, only Broadway, only straight
Break
theater.
out in
Like,
song at any time.
or that, yeah, yeah, musical theater, straight theater. Yeah, I was just like all about theater. I'm very much, I think the next phase of my career, I want to do more on camera work. So that's something I've been working on in the background for a while. I've been writing some short films. I've been in on camera acting class. I haven't done as much film and TV since the pandemic as I did before. But that's an area I want to grow in. I just think there's so much great potential and there's so much great TV and film out there that I'm just
Yeah.
like really inspired.
Yeah.
But I love how audiobook narration has allowed me to be in my craft all the time. I have had like some dream gigs that have been incredible. Like I narrated the definitive biography of Madonna
Mhm.
um, 2 years ago now. And that was incredible to just kind of narrate 40 hours. It was an 800 page book. So just to like
Wow.
do such a deep dive on such an influential person who's had such an effect on our culture in a way that I was not even
Aware.
aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love how each project, whether it's plays, whether it's films, whether it's audiobooks, I love being able to grow as a person through acting and get to learn things and learn either whether it's nonfiction or whether it's putting myself in other people's shoes, just continuing to grow and evolve as a human through the work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nice bonus, isn't it?
Right? Yeah. Hmm.
So I'm curious because I've always thought about this in terms of voiceover actors and audiobook narrators, right? Obviously, you're in an enclosed space that's, soundproofed and
Yeah.
um, you may or may not have a window. I don't know. I've heard a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of talk about being in a closet, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking 800 pages in 40 hours. Like, what does that look like for you in terms of sanity when you're like, just sitting
Yeah.
here with me, have a microphone, have my computer in a dark,
Yeah.
what does
That's
that look
such a good question. And I'm so glad you bring it up because that is a challenge of doing a long form audiobook narration is probably like the most marathon work that we can do. I
like?
would liken it to like the only other thing I think that is just as big of a task is probably creating a one person show
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
like touring that. That's probably the other equivalent I see. But for that project, let me share like how I did it. I spread it out over 6 weeks. So some
Hmm.
people might try to do that in 3 or 4 weeks. I did that over 6 weeks. And so it was 40 hours finished. And I worked with a director. So
Hmm.
fortunately, I had someone that we were connecting. It
Yeah.
was over Zoom, but we connected over Zoom for every session. And we made sure that our sessions weren't longer than 4 hours because I have other things going on. And it's just a lot to concentrate on, and it kept us fresh by doing 4 hours. There might have been a couple times where we pushed it to 5 or 6, but it
Hmm.
would usually be like a 2 to 4 hour session and then taking breaks along the way. And yeah, I think that would be the main I would say those are the main things. Having a partner in that big of a project was helpful, breaking things down in a way that was manageable. And then also your home studio space, you can kind of build out in a way that is inspiring to you. Like I have
Yeah.
fun things. I've got bright colors in the room. I've got things that I can look at that inspire me. And
Yeah.
I have so many clients now, hundreds of actors I've helped launch their audiobook narration careers. And it's fun to see like the inside of everybody's booth because people have different things. Like I have something beside me. I feel like so many people have like stuffed animals in their space, but like little friends they talk to,
Yeah.
just like glow lights, things that just make you want to be in there and
Yeah.
create and let your imagination run wild.
Yeah. I love it. It doesn't have to be a little cave in a dark
He
hole.
doesn't have to. No, no. That's
Yeah.
probably not going to be the best.
Yeah, right, right, right. Okay. I love that. So I know that you also coach actors kind of on strategy and
hmm
mindset in terms of strategy. I
Yeah.
coach actors on mindset just in general, whether it's
Yeah.
performance or, moving past lack of confidence or whatever it is.
Sure.
So I know that we kind of have similar views in terms of really kind of empowering actors to have a positive mindset.
hmm
What's like the biggest challenge, or maybe, I don't know, you can pick top three,
Okay.
uh, that you see in terms of mindset when you work with actors?
Oh, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that holds can hold us back as actors is waiting for affirmation or permission from someone else.
For sure. Yeah.
I still struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the biggest breakthrough I had in my acting career was that when I was willing to let go of a specific kind of affirmation that I wanted. So I wanted so badly to go to grad school and
Mhm.
didn't get into any of those crazy competitive programs that I applied for year after year. Um, these programs, by the way, had 2,000 applicants, and I would say like 8 to 10 people got in. So, like, the likelihood of me getting in was really low.
Right.
But I still just made it mean so much about myself because I didn't
Hmm.
have that specific affirmation. And
Hmm.
when I was finally able to let go of that, I had such a big breakthrough in my career, and that led to like a very prolific time for me. And so I think what we can do for that is shift into how can I take care of myself? How can I affirm myself? What is going well? Make a list of 100 things you've done in your life just to remind yourself you have
Yes.
accomplished a lot because
Yeah.
we've been breaking through and doing things to take care of ourselves our whole life. Like we learned how to walk, we learned how to talk. These are things that no one could do for us. Like we
Right.
legit have done hard things before.
Hmm.
So the more we can align ourselves with people who also believe in that because it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. I think
Yeah.
I don't know what I haven't done deep like psychology or work around this, but I do remember recently I heard something that like naturally 80% of the thoughts that we think are going to be negative.
Mm.
So that's like it's already running against us. So this is work. It's work for us to find the positive, and I think it's very much worth us doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, our brains have negativity bias. So it's kind of
Yes.
like, yes, we're gonna look, and our brains are also wired to avoid pain. So, there's
Yes.
that negativity slant right there as well.
hmm
Conserve energy and seek pleasure. So yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I could see that statistic being pretty accurate. But I remember talking to somebody as well who was an artist in college and struggling with just kind of freeing herself up to create and not looking for that validation like from her professor or from
Yeah.
guests that come. And I said, it is hard being a creative because you cannot like create art and be on an island, right?
Right.
Like when you
Right.
create it, you are creating it to
You
meet
want to share
people
it.
or to
Yeah.
to to see other people's reaction to it or to
True.
so I mean inherently being an artist, we do kind of look outward to know like this is good, right? I am making this art that's helping you, right?
True.
And so yeah,
True.
I think that mindset is really, really difficult as an
hmm
artist to just know. I mean, I think there's sometimes, you create something and you're just like, oh, that was so great, but then
Yes.
you're like, right?
That's true. That's true. It's so much about connection. And like we are like herd people. We want to be accepted
Yeah.
by people. So it's like looking for those glimmers of where that does happen and where you feel good being with people and what lights you up. And I guess like something that it's opened up for me that's connected to my journey and what I help actors with is like looking for the opportunities for you to share your gifts in ways that you might not have thought of. So if you
Mhm.
continue getting no, if it continues to be a struggle in one area, how might you be able to take a few steps back and look at the broader picture? Is there
Yeah.
something that you haven't explored yet? Is there like why do you do this? Like ask yourself why. Like what
Yeah.
is it that I want? What
Yeah.
am I hoping acting to bring me?
Yeah.
And if I'm not feeling that, well, what's another way I might be able to feel that?
Right. I was just talking to somebody the other day that, well, and I talked to a lot of people of the same problem. Like, I'm getting auditions, but I'm not booking,
Yeah.
and so it's like, well,
Yeah.
why are you doing this in the first place? And they'll talk,
Mhm.
oh, I love acting. I love performing. Well, that is really what you're doing when you're auditioning.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just that extra icing on the cake. But once
Yes.
again, we look for the validation, and sometimes
Right.
that's in the booking. So
Mhm.
yeah, it is a tough, tough business for sure. That
Yeah.
mindset's
Well,
so important.
totally. And I think it connects to what I do with audiobooks, like the validation, the booking. I actually found that for me and for folks who need like a dopamine hit of a
Yeah.
booking,
Yeah.
it's really nice to have 175 bookings. So I found
Yeah.
like this area where there was more work available and fewer people doing it, which is true in audiobooks. So if you know that you want that, it's something to explore, whether we think we should need that dopamine hit of a booking or not. It does help the confidence for sure.
Perfect. I love that. So let's kind of segue into that. How did you
Yeah.
actually get started in audiobook narration?
Yeah. So audiobooks, I came to just in general, I was looking at voiceover because I had reached a point where I was booking as much as I could in regional theater, union theater work, but I still wasn't paying the bills. And I was still
Hmm.
like, I don't want to do another, like a day job. I've never been okay with like doing something else for me. And so I would do side things like waiting tables, substitute teaching, all of that. But I was really like, I want to let this go now that I'm a union actor. What's another way to add to this? So I found audiobook narration because there were actors near me who were doing it. So there were some local studios where actors would go in and that would be their day job, like 9 to 5 would be the session. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. And so I got a demo together. I got some referrals. I did some reach outs and I reached out a bunch. And I finally got a call back from a producer, gave me an audition. I booked it. And that first job ended up leading to it was a 4 book series. So that's a
Mm.
cool thing about this work is sometimes it can just like one booking becomes 4 bookings. And so I started, and then each book I finished, I just said, thank you so much. Here's my next availability. And the work just kind of flowed. And that was my experience. Also, other side jobs like standardized patient work I did for many years. And
Oh,
I would
yeah.
find the same thing. Like, if you show up, you do the work well, you just let them know, like, when's the next thing? And just
Yeah.
like, you just have a nurtured client. So I feel like the same is true for audiobooks. You build relationships with publishers, you do good work, and then you just keep sharing and you just keep growing together.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it hasn't the work hasn't stopped for me, which has been incredible. And there came a point where I stopped doing certain theater contracts that weren't bringing me joy anymore because I was just like, oh, this other area I get to tell the whole story. I get to play all these characters and now I'm playing like ensemble person number 20. No, thank you. Like that's not fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very
And also
good.
the pay was a lot different too. Like 2 weeks of union work would equal 2 days of audiobook work. And I
Mm.
was just like, okay, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Very cool. So I think this is just super helpful information for a lot of our people that listen here or that are going to watch this,
Yeah.
because talk a lot about scarcity mindset and how, if you're one of the very first things I learned in a commercial class that I took years ago, the instructor said, if you need this job, you're not going
Uh-huh.
to get it, right? Because you
Oh,
walk
yeah.
in with that scarcity, with that desperation, and
Mhm.
you are not present, you're not
Yes.
grounded, you're not creative, you're just in your
Yes.
fight or flight brain, and you're
True.
just like, I have to have this. So I
Mhm.
feel like this would be a really great way for number one, it's flexible,
Yes.
right? And number two, people can be successful in
Yes.
making an actual income that they can live on
Yes.
while still being able to pursue acting, which, as we know, um, we just can't always depend on when the income is coming. So,
Right.
how like is this for actors at any experience level?
That's a good question. Yes. I do think the more acting experience you have, probably it will be easier to translate, but at the same time I'm open to challenging that. I think if you've got a willingness to learn, there will be some technology that you need to learn. So I would say that if there's someone who's been doing this a long time who's like, I hate self tapes, I can't learn anything new, this will probably be really challenging for you. And I
Well,
would
it's a limiting belief.
it is a limiting belief. Yeah. So we've had I love it when actors who are like um and they're like 60s and 70s like take
Yeah,
our course and start learning to do audiobook narration and like really get to grow, and that's just it's just good in general to keep growing. But yes, at any level, any acting experience you bring to audiobook narration, you're already in a more competitive place than folks who just want to start narrating audiobooks who are like, "Hey, I love reading to my kids at night. I think I should be an audiobook narrator." A lot of people come into audiobook narration from that perspective.
hmm,
But as an actor, you already have 75 to 80% of the skills that you need to do this work. You already have like vocal training. You already know how to create characters. You've done scene study. You understand objectives, tactics, all of the things that you've done, improvisation, any background that you have, and also any life experience that you have will be pertinent to this area. So you'll bring that in. So you'll need like 20 to 25% of the skills, which is like learning the specific craft of narration, learning how to market yourself, understanding who the players are and how to reach out to them and how to reach out in a competitive place so that your first round of reach outs elicits the kind of response that you want.
perfect. So I know there are probably actors out there who are like, I've been in the industry. I know what my booking rate is. Like, I know how
Yes.
hard it is to build a career.
Mhm.
How can you speak to that in terms of
Yeah.
audiobook narration? Is it the same? Is it just as challenging?
Good question. I think that it to me, it's not as challenging because not as many people know about this work or are pursuing it compared to as many people as pursuing on camera stuff, or video game auditions or any number of different things we might be pursuing. What's really cool when I think about the all of the bookings I've done in audiobooks, I'd say a good half of them have been direct offers. That
Mm,
means I didn't even have to audition.
mhm.
So the booking ratio there is like zero auditions
Yeah,
and a booking. So it's like the opposite. So yeah, I get it. I have like a booking ratio that I would love to close for my on-camera work, even for
right.
my commercial voiceover work. It used to be much tighter, but since the pandemic, it's
Yeah,
so many more people are having access to the same auditions.
right.
So when you have hundreds of people submitting or thousands of people submitting for one role versus in audiobooks, when you're sent an audition from a publisher or producer, from the interviews I've done with publishers and producers over the past couple of years, they've told me usually they're not sending that audition to more than 5 to 10 people when
Mm,
they request auditions. There are, of course, some open portals that would be similar to Actors Access, but I don't think that's a great use of your time to just focus
right,
on that. I
right.
recommend building relationships and having requested auditions come your way, direct offers come your way because of your consistency in your reach outs and things like that. So, I think because of that, because there's more of this work available and fewer people doing that, the scarcity mindset doesn't exist as much in this area as I've seen in other areas. I think
Mhm.
people are more willing to share referrals. Like I'm more willing to introduce people to folks because I just know there's plenty of work. I already know I've got like only room for this many projects this year. I'm
Right,
good. I can
right.
tell people about you. I don't feel there's not as much of a sense of competition that I
Right, right.
pops up.
Well, and that's interesting too, because doing voiceover or audiobook narration, you're already taking an element out of it. How do
Yeah,
I explain this? And the fact that it has nothing to do with how you look
that's
and
right.
only
Mhm.
your voice, right?
That's
So like,
right.
is it harder to differentiate, you think, in terms of of being a voice actor?
Just everyone has a broader range that they can be considered for because your vocal range is probably going to be bigger than your age range, your identity, and how, like, your identity, you get to choose how you want to talk about that. Like, I've had clients who are Asian American who play Asian American roles, but then also get cast for stuff that might typically be like Caucasian characters.
Hmm.
So I think there's a lot of room to explore and ask for what you want. And
Hmm.
also share your broader life experience too. So, like, if you come from, I don't know, a computer coding background, or if you come from a military background, you can bring that information here and talk about that in the way you market yourself so that folks think about you for the things you already are familiar with. And I don't see that happen as much in other acting where people care about what you do outside of being behind the camera, like being in front of the camera. So I think it just opens you up to exploring more of what are the stories I want to tell?
Okay.
What are the genres I like to work in? How can I create marketing materials so I can showcase that, so I can be undeniable for this? I think
Perfect.
there's
So,
lots of opportunity for us to have control over that.
so in other words, just kind of clarify, you're like, if you have a computer coding background or
Mhm.
whatever, you're talking about bringing that to an audio book that might specifically be talking about
Yes,
that particular subject. Okay. Okay.
absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Totally.
tell us just in general, like, is it expensive? Is it overwhelmingly
Mhm.
expensive? How do we get started?
Yeah, good question. So, I think the main things that you'll want if you want this to be a flexible, lucrative income stream for you, you'll wanna have you'll wanna be able to take on to have multiple clients and to be able to take on work, in a way that works for you. So, we do recommend having a home studio.
Mhm.
When I say the word home studio, sometimes people think of like these really expensive $10 to $20,000 studios you get for your house and you spend $2,000 on a microphone. I say no, it does not need to be that way. And I definitely don't recommend you just go ahead and do that if you don't even know you like this yet.
Right.
So what's really great is my partner Justin Mara, like the way we teach inside the Great Audiobook Adventure, he is a sound engineer and he's really creative. So we have he's researched all of these ranges of pricing. Like there's really you can build a home studio at any price point is what I'm trying to say. And a more expensive microphone does not necessarily mean it's going to sound good in your space. And in fact, that's typically the opposite. Those really expensive microphones are meant to be used in like multi-million dollar studios.
Mhm.
And so for a home studio, we need different things than a big studio that you might go to otherwise. So you need to think about your space. What environment do you live in? Are you in a very busy city? Are you out in the country? Is there a airport down the street from you? What are the different sounds in your environment? What spaces in your actual house, apartment, whatever your space is, could be the most quietest where you could then put treatment up? And so
Yeah.
that looks like a variety of things. That could be anything from sound blankets to panels to a closet to like something like an actual box that you would purchase or build to be your studio. So there's a wide variety of ways that you can go about it, but having a home studio in general gives you the ability to do this on your own schedule. Um, and so if you're curious and you just want to get started right now, something I would encourage you to do is just read out loud. Set aside like 10 to 20 minutes today and read out loud. And if you want to take it a step further, you can hit record on your voice memo app and just like see if you like it. See if you enjoy telling a story out loud. My guess is you do because you like to act,
Yeah.
But just double check with yourself, see if it's
Yeah.
something that brings you joy,
Yeah.
and think about who your listener is. So, who are you talking to? Who is your scene partner? Do you think this person listening would be a middle school kid? Do you think it would be your grandmother? Would it be a lover? Like, who are you talking to? And how can that person affect your delivery of that story, and maybe try it with a different scene partner and just try that out, just so you can start applying some of your acting to it. And then if you are curious, if you're like, yeah, I like this, and yeah, I'm open to creating some space in my living area, or I just want to learn more, then we can talk more. But I think that those are some good places to get started, and also start listening to audiobooks. Just like if you're pursuing television,
Right.
getting to know what's out there right now, getting to know the different genres. So for audiobooks, getting to understand nonfiction versus fiction. What are all the subgenres within each? Start listening to audiobooks. What do you notice? If you are listening and you're like, I am not paying attention anymore, this narrator does not have my attention,
Right.
notice that you might be able to do a better job. Like if you're able to pinpoint that, then we that's a great starting point to say that you probably can do this too. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
shout out to that person because they showed up for themselves and said they could do it,
Right. That's right.
So no shade.
I love that. So many great tips. So, if somebody wants to learn more, as I understand it, you are doing a free class. Do you want to tell us a little bit
Yes,
about
absolutely. So I have a free class that is just kind of takes today's conversation and expands it more and gives you the opportunity to get to know me, and we can have a conversation. You can ask questions. But ultimately, I tell you more about why audiobook narration is a specific great fit for actors who already have experience. And then I teach you 3 tools that you need to get started working with publishers. Because publisher work is where I see you've got the biggest ability to get the most consistent, lucrative work. So that's where I point people to. I would say all but one of my almost 200 audiobook projects have come from publishers. So that's specifically what I teach, is how to get work in that area. So that class, you can go to a link that Shelly's going to provide you with, but check it out. It's called Narrate Your Way to Abundance. And yeah, I would love to connect with you further in that way.
Fantastic. And if somebody just doesn't even need to go to that class and they're like,
Mhm.
Elise, you sold me, let's do this.
Yeah.
How do they proceed from here?
Yeah, just go to audiobookadventure.com. And if you don't currently see the sales page up, just feel free to just send us an email. There's like a wait list that you'll get. So you can just respond to any email. Or
Okay.
you can send me a message on Instagram at the Global Actor, and we'll connect with
Okay.
you further there.
Fantastic. And what can somebody expect if they decide to just jump all in? What kind of things will they
Great.
learn?
What you can expect with the Great Audiobook Adventure is not only A to Z course that's going to take you from wherever you're at now through to deeply understanding audiobook narration and developing your craft. You'll do that in the course. You will build your all of the marketing materials you could potentially need to put yourself out there for publishers. And then we teach you how to reach out to publishers, who they are, how to find them, how to reach up, how to follow up, and then how to actually do your book. Your capstone project of the course is actually doing a full practice book. And so along the way, we have a deep community to help you. So you'll get coaching from me, you'll get coaching from Justin on anything related to your home studio. So he'll help you every step of the way there. And then we also have an incredible team of community mentors who are all folks who've gone through the Great Audiobook Adventure and are now working narrators, again, working all over the place with all different publishers. Many of them are now directing for publishers, and they are there to support you every step of the way between the coaching calls. And there's like more than 26 opportunities for you to get feedback on your narration. You can post questions on our online forum to get help along the way. So we are just like all about just holding you with empowered love, but also like you got to show up for yourself. So as much
Yeah.
as you show up, we're here to help you push through and really kickstart and launch an audiobook career. And we found that so many of our clients, the investment that they make in the course, they're able to 20x that investment within the first year or two. Because that's the
Very
point.
cool.
We're teaching you how to build a business
Right.
within your acting career that you can then very often apply. There are very often concepts that we talk about that you can then apply, and the confidence alone, what you were saying earlier, Shelley, about this scarcity mindset, that changed everything for me when I had audiobook work flowing in.
Mm-hmm.
My auditions for on camera and other things just were way less desperate because I
Mm-hmm.
already knew I had acting work. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like, God, I hope I get it.
Yeah.
You know
There
what I
she goes,
mean?
breaking into song.
Yeah, I know.
Perfect. So how long like is the course? Is it
Yeah, good
kind of
question. It's
yeah.
10 chapters that you can go at your own pace. So the
Okay.
coaching that we offer you is like bonus to support you through moving through in a way that works for you because we know everyone's kind of got different schedules. So I would say some people it takes them about 3 to 6 months to go through the course. Other people it takes them up to a year, might be longer depending on what's happening for you in your life. Because there are big things we're encouraging you to do, like setting up the home studio might take some time, putting together your demos might take some time, and again, like life or you might have bookings come in,
Yeah.
acting bookings that you just need to put it on hold for a while. So we have 6 months of coaching support we give you, and then if you want more support, we'd have ways for you to keep getting that too.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much. This was such great information
Thanks so much for
and
having me.
super valuable. So thanks so much for being here today. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
you're welcome.